Hi mamas, we are back with another new episode of Essential Talks. Today we are joined with Zoe, who is the founder of Move Thru, a platform that is dedicated to supporting parents through the parenthood journey. Because we all know we need that support, right? So stay tuned, you will love this discussion. We're going to have a bit of insight into how Move Thru came about and how Zoe's journey kicked off. I can't wait for you guys to hear this episode and let me know what you think at the end. So hi Zoe, thank you so much for joining me. Really excited to have you on this episode of Essential Talks.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
I thought we'll start with some quick fire questions,
Yeah.
just to get warmed up. Coffee or tea? What's your fave?
I love coffee, but I have about 5 cups of tea a day, and then just like one coffee is my main treat.
Oh wow, a little boost.
Yeah, when I'm
Okay.
desperate.
Yeah, we all need it sometimes. Okay, next one. What was your first ever job? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was a shop girl. I
Okay.
worked in a bag shop, and then I also was a lifeguard. So that was
Oh
so,
wow, lifeguard.
so
Wow.
boring, to be honest, because
So
you
you
just
must
sit there
be,
all day.
yeah, I can imagine. You must be a good swimmer though. I mean, you have to be,
I
obviously.
used to be all right, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then last, if you had the chance to win the Guinness World Book of Records, what would you like to be put up for and why?
Well, I think such a cool one would be running the fastest 100 meters or something like that. Like if you
Yeah,
could just run so fast. Sometimes like when you look at Mo Farah or people like that and they've done the marathon in 2 hours and you're like, it literally takes me over double the time that it's taken him.
I haven't even attempted
Great.
a marathon, so I think it'll probably take me days.
So that'd be cool. To be like the fastest runner would be wicked, I
Yeah.
think.
No, definitely, I agree. Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't even know where to start with running. I get like shin splints when I try to run.
Oh yeah, they're painful. I've had those before.
Yeah, so I just thought never again. It's not for me.
That's fine. Everyone has different things.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much, as I said, for joining. Really excited to, find out more about your journey and about your businesses. Because obviously I know you have multiple, I guess. So you do Sunday Lux, and then you've got another one, which I won't introduce, I want you to introduce. So maybe let's start off there actually. So let's tell us about this new business that you've launched, and what the inspiration is behind it, and just a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Zoe. I have a 2-year-old, and that's it. And I started Move Thru. I launched it about 3 months ago, and it's essentially, um, well, just to take you a little bit on the journey. We had our child. We've been together for years and years. We were quite well set up. We already had our house. Like we were doing like quite well. So we were like, oh, everyone does it. It'll be fine. We'll just go for it. And then the first year, we were just shocked at how difficult it was, um, both in terms of like physically for me, and mentally, I guess, in terms of our relationship. Then with like work and juggling the child and everything. So we were just extremely shocked at how hard it was, and we researched loads to see like how we could sort it out. And everything that we researched was just about how to take care of the baby, and there didn't really seem to be that much in terms of taking care of the parents. So we basically threw money at the problem and invested in loads of coaches for different areas, so like PTs and therapists, and all different things like that, really, to see like what we could do to make ourselves feel better and like, we thought get back on track. um but then as this journey sort of like continued, we've realized that it's not really about getting back to the old version of ourselves. It's about like we're just both completely different now in like a great way. So it's guess it's like forming that new version of ourselves. So yeah, we did all of that, and then I was like, what do you think if we start like a little blog about it or something, and we could both write our points of view of how different things have gone. And it kind of grew from there. So every topic that we write about is from the mum's point of view and the dad's point of view, so it has like both sides of the story, I guess. And then we actually brought on some of the coaches that we used that we found were really good. We brought them on, and now they sell their services through our site, Move Thru, to try and help other parents basically get through that difficult bit and then come out the other side in terms of like who they want their new identity to be.
Mm. No,
So
that's
that's how
amazing.
it's quite new. We just did it, yeah, we just launched it a couple of months ago. So yeah, so far the feedback's been really good. I think a lot of the content we've had like a lot of feedback on it, because, so for example, like about resentment is one of our topics. And usually you just hear the woman's side of the story on it. But then because my husband's written a reply to like everything, or he's taken the lead on some of the topics, it's good if you're a bit worried to bring something up with your partner, because you can see like a male's point of view from it, or they can see like the female's point of view from it, so they get like a little bit of a gauge before they speak to their partner about it. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I guess it's almost like a self-therapy for you guys as well, isn't it? Like you wasn't able to find that for yourselves, and you've more or less just created what you needed, I guess.
Yeah, it's definitely been like therapeutic, and some of the articles were quite hard to write, well, quite hard to read from the other person, you know, when Greg was writing at the beginning how he was like basically staying at work later because he didn't want to come home because it was just stressful at home. You know, obviously that's hard to read, but it has been like couples therapy for us basically. And I was like, well, if it helps other people, that's fine, isn't it?
100%. No,
I don't
definitely.
mind sharing.
No, that's really good and really inspiring that you even had that strength during your journey of sort of, guess as you said, finding yourselves and finding your new identity to just basically share this with others as well. So no, really commend you for that. Thank you. I guess going on to like relationship, and obviously you're saying it was hard for you guys to read certain aspects of the articles that you wrote as well, you know, when it comes to balancing relationship and your mindset, body care, etc., while also trying to be the best parents that you can, and then these businesses,
Yeah.
how do you even find that balance? Like where do you even start to sort of search for that balance as well?
Yeah, well, definitely haven't always got the balance right. And definitely in the first year, I think it's about sort of finding your feet with everything. I think the first year is when it's the biggest change. So that's when it is kind of like trial and error a little bit. But I guess now that we're through that hardest bit, we've we've like set up some non-negotiables for ourselves, like individually and then as a family. So it would be like, for me personally, like I know that I want to exercise 3 times a week. I know that you know, you probably find this as well, having my own businesses is great, but it can be a bit lonely at times. So I know that I need to co-work at least twice a week with other people, other founders. And then, you know, like lots of different little bits like that. And then we have some together. So, you know, spending like a certain amount of time together doing like an activity as a family, not just like watching TV or something, but like we've got a running program. So it might be like going for a run together, or, you know, going for a walk together, or doing something, you know. So now we've set up like certain things that we have to do to keep the balance like right. And, you know, we have like a date night once a month and things like that. So that's how we structure it now. But then even now, even with those things, there's still some things that are always like, you know, a bit higher than others, and you have to rebalance them a bit. You know, you're spending too much time working, so you need to, you know, bring the relationship side up or whatever it might be. um but yeah, I just have like a little framework of things that I, you know, we make sure we do all the time.
Yeah.
But in the first year, I think it's so hard to do that because you don't know what you need. It's usually, unfortunately, it's when something gets really bad that you're like, oh, I've neglected this area, so now I need to invest in that.
It's true. And it's like you said, it's almost kind of like, it's like a seesaw almost, isn't it? Like when
Mhm.
you see one area is really, really falling and getting low, then you're like, oh my gosh, I need to focus on that area. And I guess it's a shame that sometimes we're not in that mental space at times to even see when that area is dropping. It's like you said, when it gets to like that severe moment when you're like, oh my gosh, I need to work out, or I need to focus on my mental health because I've just let myself just go mentally, you know, it can be
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah.
I mean, do you have anything that you do to keep everything in check?
In the beginning, I struggled with my mental health. I struggled with
Mm.
my identity, with finding my identity. And I think it's like what you said in the beginning when you said it's about finding, it's not about finding our own selves, it's about basically finding, well, adjusting to what we are now, our new identity. And I struggled with that, those two words, new identity.
Yeah.
I was trying to basically stick to the old identity,
Yeah.
and my old routine. So then when I was trying to fit my little girl into that old routine, she physically couldn't fit into that because that
Mm.
was just for Jade. It was just for me. It wasn't for Abigail and Jade.
Yeah.
Navigating that whole new, relationship with my husband and things like that. So it took me a while to realize that I can't stick to that old routine. I need to basically adjust to a new one. But I think, like you said, once I got to, unfortunately, that time where I was just like, oh my gosh, my mental health is really, really impacted now. When I went through counselling with the NHS, and that's when I realized, okay, I need to form a new identity, basically adjust to my new identity and form a new routine.
Yeah.
And not be so hard on myself. So I think that, to answer your question, is not being hard on myself, like realizing that I can't always get everything that I want to get done in a day. And if I don't, just add it onto my list for the next day.
Yeah.
So not being afraid to have extended list for the next day, or to,
Yeah.
adjust my day to balance, as you said, my life and motherhood and the journey. So yeah, just not being hard and being patient, I think for me was difficult, but now I'm in the swing of things, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So where are you up to with how old's your little girl?
She's 2. She turned 2 on Wednesday, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
So she's 2 years old now. So I feel like I've kind of got like a mini teenager.
so
Oh.
lovely.
So I guess when it comes to like, so we've spoken about balancing relationship, etc. But then when it comes to like Zoe, so like reclaiming just your identity, and
Yeah.
because I think as we've spoken already, it's difficult. I think that's a lot of women can agree that we struggle to find that identity and to reclaim it. So how, like in your own experience, did you sort of go about finding your identity? Because you mentioned about adding in, days to exercise and things like that. But I mean, how did you sort of go about navigating that with motherhood?
Well, kind of same as you. At the beginning, I was trying to go back to my old identity, and I was like desperate to like snap back and everything. I used to go out all the time, um, and so after a few months, I started my I've got another business, a loungewear business, and I started back up with that like 2 weeks after I'd had my baby. So I was trying to still work every day, but with him, and then that was stressful if he needed my attention and I couldn't pack up my orders and things like that. So I was getting frustrated, but I was like, no, it's fine, I can keep doing it. And then with the going out at night, it was after about 3 months, I was like, god, I'm absolutely desperate for a night out. And I'd been missing it the whole time I was pregnant. And I went to this really like great party, um and I got there and I was just like, just not even that, just not having a great time. Like, it wasn't awful. I was just, just wasn't everything that I sort of remembered, and I'd been craving it for so long, and it was just fine. And I thought, oh God, this isn't me anymore. Not that I still love the odd night out now and again, but I don't need to be doing it all the time. Um, so so that was like a big thing for me. And then so I realized that. So that was one part of my identity. And then with the working thing, after it took quite a long time, quite a few months for me to be like, I can't just force my son into my routine, like you said. So it's just thinking about what I can do that is actually fair to him as well, because also as they get older, they don't just want to be like doing everything that you're doing. You can't just like take them everywhere. You do need to be giving them like a bit of attention and everything. So now I used to get really frustrated. Now he goes to nursery. If he was sick from nursery, then I'd be like, oh, I'd literally, like, it's going to be so hard to do my work and look after him. Whereas now I'm just like, that's fine. Like, I'll look after him today and I will not worry about the work. I'll add that to tomorrow, like you say. Um, Instead of trying to do both and not doing both very well, because I'm not giving him what he needs and I'm doing like a rubbish job of my work. So now I just am a bit more like, not go with the flow, because I am quite a planned person, but just more like accepting that I am actually a mum, and that comes with different responsibilities. Um, and yeah, like now, instead of like going on loads of nights out, I might go to the pub, at the weekend in the day with him, and then come back by decent times. So you can put him to bed, and then you don't feel rubbish the next morning because you're getting up early. It's just things like that. I definitely don't want to give everything up, but it's just like adjusting, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the main word, isn't it? Adjusting. And like you said, not forcing a situation. So yeah, like we've agreed, adding it to the next day is so important. And I think for me as well, I think it was just realizing that my little one is my main priority, and
Yeah,
everything else is like around her. So
yeah,
like you said, if she gets ill and she can't go to nursery, because I used to be the same. That was literally my just like gold dust, the nursery days, and it still is, to be fair, because it's when we can do stuff like this and just
yeah,
focus on ourselves. So when that time used to come when she'll get ill, I'd literally be like, oh my god, like my heart would sink. And I feel like it's good to be honest in this situation, because I think a lot of us feel guilty for feeling that way, but we're
yeah.
not used to, obviously, with having your first child, you're obviously not going to be used to having to care for another human being, and you're going to have to sort of adjust to reprioritizing, and it's not easy for some. It definitely wasn't easy for me. So yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
just think they're just with you all the time, aren't they? So that's the crazy thing. Like,
yeah.
I've been with my partner for a long time, but he goes to work, he goes out, and we can both do our own thing. Whereas you have this child, I know it's obvious, but I guess I just didn't really think about it before. But like, they're literally with you all the time. Like at the weekends, he has an hour's nap, and the rest of the time, he's with us all the time. So it's like, oh my God, we've got 1 hour separate from him. What are we going to do in that hour,
It's so true. Like out of the whole day, like the 8 hours in the day, you've literally got an hour. Some people even have half an hour. Some people don't even get that. And
I mean, I'm petrified when he drops the nap.
oh my God, I was just about to say that. I was literally about to say that. I think that we're gonna have another session for when our little ones drop their nap. Oh, but yeah, it's just all about adjusting, I guess. But I think even saying that word, it takes so much willpower and so much than just the actual word. Like there's so much behind it, like the mental preparation, and it takes some time.
I do
Um,
think, though, and one of the reasons I set the business up is I do think I do think it is adjusting and not just accepting and just, letting yourself go completely and making it about them. That's why, like, the things on our site is, for example, like exercise, how you can, if you're with them, you can do it in the first year all the time, then you can do it, 10 minutes throughout the day instead of like half an hour all at once. And you can do it with your baby, or meditation, you can do it. We've got some that you can like walking meditation that you can do with your baby. So I think it's not about just, we were really, and I still feel really strongly about, I don't want to just like make everything about the baby and then like let our relationship go, let our work go, let like my body go, stuff like that. It's just about how can I still do those things in a different way that isn't going to negatively impact the baby because I'm not like with him all the time, or I can do it with him, or whatever it is. So how can I keep nuggets of those things in my new life in an adjusted way, rather than just being like, I'm just not going to do any of that and I'm just going to do everything for them.
It's true, and I think it's important to fill our cups as well, isn't it?
Mm,
It's like that saying: if you don't fill your cup, how are you gonna fill someone else's? You're just gonna have a constant empty, bottomless pit where your cup's never been filled, and you're just constantly giving and giving. And like you said, it's like when you mentioned about trying to do both, but not doing both of them well. You're gonna be in that constant state of just giving, but not feeling like you're giving the best of yourself, to your husband, to friends and family, to your little one, essentially. So
yeah.
100%
And then you're
right.
just moody to everyone.
Exactly. So no, I think that leads us perfectly actually onto the next question, which is about women who want to be in a position where they want to focus on their passions, they want to focus on things, whether it's business, whether it's a hobby, etc., outside of motherhood. How do you think they can get to that? Because I know for me, it took me a while to even get to that position to even be considering and thinking about doing things like this. But out of your personal experience, how do you think they can get there?
Yeah. Well, I would say, I think for most people, becoming a mum is probably going to be the biggest change that they've ever had in their life. So I would maybe view that as a bit of a chance to reinvent yourself and be like, what kind of woman do I want to be from here? Because it really is a great chance to do that. I know that, you need to, maternity leave is a great time to just, focus on your baby and everything like that, but you are sitting around a fair bit, so it is a good chance to think about what you want out of your life and what your passions could be. They can be new things. You don't have to be things that you've done before. It could be something that you've always wanted to try. So I think it's a great chance for reinvention. And then I just feel like it's a bit of a crossroads, because even with work, I went back to my corporate job just a few days a week. So then it's like, what do I want my new life to be? And then I guess the other thing is, with children, I feel like they're always changing. So it's very easy to get caught up in like the routines and the day-to-day tasks that you have to do every day for them. So if you spend a bit of time on yourself, and even like some grounding practices or habits or hobbies or something that is for you, then that can basically see you through all of these different changes. Because it is hard to like, they're sleeping for a couple of weeks, then all of a sudden that changes, then they're like really loving, then they're really like moody towards you, then it's just always up and down. And that is the reality of it, so that's fine. I accept that. But if there's something that you can have for yourself that you always come back to, then I just feel like that will keep you a bit more grounded. So for example, if you do want to decide to do your yoga teacher qualification or something like that, then you can make sure that you do a couple of hours every week, and that will always be the constant, because the rest of your life won't be constant, if you know what I mean.
And I think it's nice to have that, as you said, because our life is probably so up and down, it's nice to actually implement a bit of structure where we have set days to do set things for ourselves, or set hours for ourselves, because that probably helps to create a little bit of stability in our minds and in our lives, which I'm sure a lot of us miss. So no, I think that's a perfect way of doing it, definitely. Oh well, thank you so much, Zoe. I do appreciate you being in these sessions. Lastly, how can people find you at Move Thru? Because I think it's such a beneficial platform. So where can we find you?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment we're on Instagram. It's at Move Thru _, or it's movethru.co.uk. We add new articles and topics all the time. If you or any of your listeners want to explore a certain topic, just DM me and I'll speak to my husband and see if we've got something to write about, or if other people want to write for us as well. We've had guest blogs as well, so it doesn't just have to be something we've experienced. We just want to open up the conversation really for parents and let them know it doesn't have to be all about the children. They need to look after themselves as well.
No, and hopefully this will be the start. Just them listening to this will be a start of them just implementing themselves into their routine. So that is the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think. It'll be amazing to hear your feedback, to see how we can tailor this show to support you, the essential woman. Don't forget that the next episode will be airing on the 1st of February, and it's the 1st of every month going forward. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.